welcome to this hour of presence. Glad you're back. And today we will, as usual, repeat the first 30 minutes of this foundational touching in on the qualities of nature's flow. How is nature, the Tao, unfolding? And we use these qualities, kind of categorize them to touch in on the flavors of them. And in the second half, we will be using these qualities, especially the third quality, the whole flow quality, to experientially perhaps stumble upon an experience of the now that may feel a little more allowing, just the way it is. We can often get a lot of messages about how it's better for us to live in the moment, be here now. And even quite subtly, we can tend to associate now as something kind of more like the present, like it's wedged in between the past and the future, and gotta find ourselves right in the now, like it's this sliver. And when we start first with the way of nature, rather than a benefit that we want or something we think we should do, then there can be this shift in how we even approach something as seemingly obvious as how do we live in this moment. And we'll especially be using the feeling of space, the all-togetherness in how we perceive space. And the space is not empty space. It's full of fingers and toes, as we'll see. So I'll include the experience of presence all together, unfolding in one now space flow. So that's the adventure for the second half, and can even just set that aside, because the approach of this practice and why I personally find it my go-to practice, coming from the teachings of Master Wanchul Park, is that it's very, non-conceptual. We just see what we can feel and understand most evidently in our immediate experience, just the experience of even our body. And so let's begin. Letting the eyes close. Inviting your awareness to feel more on the inside and what's happening in your internal landscape. and the movement of air and body in this internal landscape that we call breathing. And how we are sitting together with the earth. The embrace of Earth's gravity is drawing our body to the earth. And let's first feel that in our shoulders, our arms and our shoulders being gently drawn down so that they can lay down onto our torso. Just let them lay down. And using the out breath, that releasing sense, letting go sense of the out breath, to let the shoulders let go a little bit more. And now noticing the heaviness of the arm embraced by Earth's gravity, and even the heaviness of our hand weight, allowing our hands to let go of their holding and tension and feel relaxed and heavy as they fully give their weight to the support of our lap. And taking a couple of out breaths here, where at the end of these next few out breaths, the hands can feel that they've laid down even more fully to support. And then feeling into that meeting place between hands and lap, feeling right into that place of interaction, mutual connection. An inseparable exchange of forces. Maybe have a sense of tasting that felt experience of this quality of nature that it arises mutually together. so tangibly there at our hands and lap. And then let's find this other meeting place of seat and ground. Feeling into the sensations there. Is there a similar taste, flavor of connection and mutual interaction, exchange of forces? And those are the descriptive understanding words. What's the flavor of it experientially? And then letting the out breath help us let go and lay down into that mutual connection. And there's still probably some aspects where we're feeling like we're sitting alone. Letting go of that illusion. Laying down our weight. Letting Earth fully embrace us with the force of gravity and meet us with its force of support. Even at the level of forces, that's an inseparable event right there at our seat at the ground. Body and earth flowing together in this mutual flow. Letting ourselves feel that seat, hands, shoulders. It's happening everywhere in our body. Sitting like a mountain. And now first, begin to notice the sense of the back of your head, the back of your head opposite your eyes. Notice the distance between the back of your head and where your eyes are at the front of your head. Notice the distance between your eyes. Notice the volume of space inside your nose. And allowing ourselves to feel that space come alive with subtle sensations as this exchange of air comes in and then passes out. And if you're already familiar with the alternate noticing of nostril spaces pattern for this part of the practice, and if that's helpful for you, can go into that. An open ended inquiry of the finest sensation of flow that we can feel in this space inside our nose. Letting our awareness touch into the infinity of flows within flows, ever finer flows. That's there in the air. And while noticing this free flow of nature and the space inside our nose, what would it be like to continue to feel the space between our eyes? And maybe even the space between our eyes and the back of our head. Still attuned to the finest sensation of flow that never resolves itself into a final got it. But keeps on revealing more subtlety, more inner freedom, practically infinite inner freedom of flows within flows. And gradually letting the alternate noticing practice fade if one was practicing that way. Continuing to feel the air that we breathe and seeing what it would be like to include now the shoulders laying down, the hands laying down, the body laying down to the ground. Sitting like a mountain that also has this wind, the free flow of wind. And then we'll integrate these two seemingly different flavors by feeling the free flow of this wind coming down inside us on the in breath, tracing it down inside us. And then on the out breath, tracing the cascading wave of our front body, that downward wave, and alternating like this for a few breaths. Breathing in, air comes down. On the out breath, wave like motion of the front body. Just like we did at the nose. When you think you have got it, oh yeah, I'm feeling the movement of my chest and belly as I breathe. Opening, opening to the practically infinite, fine free flow. That is expressing itself as that cascading wave. So fine, like water, and also like a water wave, so mutually interconnected. And now we'll begin to feel into the third quality of nature's flow. Gradually, by first doing the finger by finger, breath by breath practice here, where on the next out breath, slightly elongating the thumb, feeling to its tip. And then on the next out breath, doing that for the pointer finger. Continuing breath by breath, finger by finger. The movement is subtle and inner. The out breath helps us feel all the way to our sensitive fingertip. We like to end the out breath with a sense of having scanned the length of the finger right to the very tip. That is so sensitively touching the air and space just beyond it. And as you gradually head into the next round that you're on, and feel as though the breath is filling the three-dimensional volume of that finger, filling it with presence. So the outline, the shape of that finger feels full to the brim of presence, right to its very sensitive fingertip, which is a place where we can feel our finger being ending and the space beyond it beginning. And then gradually letting the finger by finger, noticing and scanning fade. Slightly, ever so slightly spreading all of our fingers. And feeling the space, the many spaces in between our fingers. Perhaps starting with feeling the space between our thumb and our pointer finger. And if you're in any doubt about what it means to feel and be aware of the distance or length or space between two parts of our body, like thumb and pointer finger, let's just see how experiential this is. So, and gently make that space between the pointer finger and the thumb a little bit smaller while having that awareness of that smaller distance between those two fingertips. How do we know it's a smaller distance? We feel it. We feel the distance. We feel the space between. And in doing so, we naturally also feel our fingers on both ends of that length, that distance, making them a little bit wider. How are we doing that? We're feeling the distance between as wider. We're aware of that. And may like to alternate that motion if it helps you to get in touch with the immediacy, the directness of what it's like to feel the distance, the length, the space between. And now returning to feeling that there's spaces between all of our fingers, multiple spaces between all of our fingers. What artists call the negative space. Slightly now spreading and making that space a little wider for all the fingers, ever so slightly. Making that spaces a little smaller for all the fingers. Aware of these spaces. And naturally how that highlights the beingness that's occupying the space of our fingers. Right, to feel the spaces between our fingers, we're feeling the space that our fingers take up as well. And what would it be like to really allow yourself to Feel all the spaces between the fingers, all the spaces that the fingers take up in space, all together at once, all simultaneously. And as we feel this all together at onceness of our fingers, almost feeling like that can spill into the palm of our hand, including the back of our hand, so that the 3D volume of both hands feels full, full of presence, and surrounded by space. The whole quality of everything all at once, that we may begin to feel here in our hands. And as we feel both of our hands vibrant with presence, also feeling the very back of our head, feeling the space, the distance between the back of our head and our eyes. Just like the space between our thumb and our pointer finger, we can feel that space between back of the head and our eyes in the front. And then feeling into the space between our two eyes. And then again, feeling both hands. And this time, feeling into the space in between both hands. And to again play with this, make it experientially concrete, and gently lift the hands and place the palms of the hands so that they are facing towards each other. And now feel the space between the hands and how that can allow us to feel the at onceness, simultaneousness of both hands as we feel the space between. And make that space a little smaller by bringing the hands closer to each other. And make that space larger. And play with that, feeling into the space between. Because quite literally, when we feel a length, we are naturally aware of both ends as being together at once. And then can drop the hands to the lap and feel into that nothing missing at onceness of both hands. And again, feeling the back of the head and the space between the back of the head and the eyes at the front. Feeling the space between the eyes. And now, if you feel like there's an observer, a witnesser somewhere hanging out around your eyes, see what it would be like for on the next couple of out breaths to let that witnesser sink down and down until gradually you've invited that witnesser into your heart space area, the center of your chest. No need to push it down, just a gentle coaxing of that witnesser so that it feels like it can float down and settle into the heart area. And now inviting you to feel the space between the center of your heart and your front body. And the center of your heart, and that sense of the space in front of you in the room you're in. Actually, all the way to the wall of the room that you're in. And then again, feel the distance or space from the center of your heart to your front body. And let's do this to the space to the right of our heart center. First, feeling the space between our heart center and the right side of our body. And then feeling into the space that extends all the way to the wall of the room that you're in on the right side. And then feeling again the space, the length, the distance from your heart center to your right side. And maybe seeing what it's like for the witnesser to be right more in the heart area and feeling directly to the side of itself. And then repeating on the left side from the observer inside your heart, feeling out to the left until you're like, yeah, that's the edge of my left side of my body. And so that's the distance between my heart center and that edge of my body on the left. And feel into that distance. And then extending that sense of that distance all the way to your sense of what is the distance to the wall on the left side of your room. Now, again, feeling into the heart center and noticing the distance to the very top of your head, both ends of that length at once. And then between heart center and the ceiling. And now again, from within your heart center, noticing the distance between your heart center and your seat on the ground. And if you're using some furniture or anything else like that, extend that all the way down to the floor and feel that distance, that space. And now, what would it be like? Even imagine, what would it be like to feel the space from my heart center to the room around me, front, sides, top, and bottom, all at once? Since the space is all at once. And then feeling as well the space between your heart center to the back wall behind you. Your heart center surrounded on all sides by this one whole space of the room that you're in. That also includes the space that your body takes up in space. And that also includes the space of your heart center. And what would it be like to let all of those spaces be simultaneously there in your awareness? Space of the room, space of the body, space of your heart, all at once. They are one whole space. And then allowing ourselves to feel this flow coming in and leaving our body as happening in this one whole space always. Unfolding, always within the integrity of one whole space. And our shoulders, and our hands, and our seat, and earth embracing us and holding us as unfolding always in this one whole space, all together. And that any experience and any flow of nature is unfolding in the wholeness and togetherness of one whole space. And this completes our hour of presence. With this additional invitation to spend the next 3 minutes hosting on whatever it is that we're currently feeling and experiencing in this one whole space. And thank you for practicing and adventuring with us together here today.